All right, the first story on Double Take, and we're going to get through Double Take because this show has gone, pretty long. Enes Kanter, who is an NBA player, plays for the Celtics now, but he's played for multiple teams, has really come out now on Nike. He's come out on China. I've had a lot of experience in every one of these levels, and I could go on for a whole show on this, but I'm going to condense it down to 30 seconds. First of all, China and their manufacturing practices are atrocious. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the NBA, which of course I was a part of for almost 5 years, is really, really buddying up with China in a way that, quite frankly, I understand economically, but I don't understand if you stand for civil rights or you stand for the rights of people. Mm-hmm. Just remember a quote by the great Dr. Martin Luther King: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." I mean, that is completely what we're talking about here. And LeBron James and all these other players that are out there that want social justice, well, we can't just limit it to African Americans in the United States. We have to look at this on a world scale.
Especially if you're using products from overseas.
Right. And so
endorsing products.
And Nike can't seem to come up with the data that shows that they're not using this slave labor, which they're being accused of by Enes Kanter.
Right.
And again, I could go on with this for a whole show, but we'll cover this again. But I applaud Enes Kanter.
I agree.
For basically calling out. And he's a Muslim, mm-hmm. and he says that Muslims are treated terribly, in China. Well, if they were treated terribly in the United States, there would be a whole uproar on it, as there should be. But we can't let it go on in a place that we're doing business.
Yeah, I loved a quote that he put on social media. He said, quote, "You do not address police brutality in China. You do not speak about discrimination against the LGBT community. You do not say a word about the oppression of minorities in China. You are scared to speak up." Yeah. He was saying that to Nike, and I thought that was a really good quote. So.
All right, so we'll cover this one again. All right, Sarah, the next one is...
Biden joking that his job is to avoid media. He was talking on Monday to a bunch of elementary students in New Jersey, and he was essentially saying that the media gets to ask you all sorts of questions, and you try to find out how you're going to, quote, avoid answering them sometimes.
Can I tell you what? He's doing a great job of that.
I agree. Even this morning when he was speaking...
He's doing a great job of it.
So many people, and I think I just hit my mic, sorry. So many people were just constantly asking him questions right afterwards. How does Cinema feel about this? How does Manchin feel about this? And he just walked away, no questions answered.
I wouldn't say that to a bunch of elementary students.
No.
If I'm the president. I just don't think I would say that. We're not going to harp on this one. We got bigger problems in the world. But, I don't think I would say that.
I wouldn't say that, but it rings true.
All right.
All right, so another story we're looking at, stress from COVID-19 is affecting decision-making, especially in millennials. And I saw a statistic that...
I can't make a decision.
No, right? I know.
No, I can make a decision.
Well, and I read something that cigarette purchases went up for the first time in 20 years.
People are nervous.
It has to do with stress, right?
Yeah.
I mean...
Look, the bottom line is COVID's not been good for anybody. Mm-mm. Get back to COVID for a second, That's where I think we should be spending a lot of our time, is figuring out how it happened, why it happened, to make sure it never happens again. The effect that it's had, not only on Americans, but in the world population, I don't think there's any way to really gauge the complete destruction of this for years to come.
No, I don't think so. People are going to look back and think about how we think about the Spanish influenza.
Yeah.
Well,
we lived it.
Yep.